Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be doing a chair review from a company that many of you know, probably most of you know, and that's DXRacer, as they were one of the first companies to do racing style gaming chairs out there in the market, and ever since then they have been imitated more than anything. Now this is my first experience with a DXRacer chair, and I must say I had a lot of preconceived thoughts about the company and the chairs as a whole before even doing this video, as I have personally never had good experiences with these racing style chairs in terms of comfort or build quality. I have much preferred chairs like the Ergo chair from Autonomous and chairs of that style. And with knowing that, I wanted to do this review with as much open-mindedness as possible, and found out that I probably had more things wrong about the brand than I had right in my own mind. Now with that said, we're going to go through a few different things in this video. You're going to see an unboxing, you're going to see a short installation guide, and then you're going to see an overview of features and then my final thoughts. Let's get into it. Alright, so here are the instructions, but we're going to ignore part of them. And here's why. Now, you can choose to do step 1 now. You don't have to, it can be done later, as that part is not pertinent to the next step that I show in the video. Step 2 is the part that I actually skip and save for almost last. The reason for this is because the bottom part of it is much easier to work on without the back attached. You can take the bottom, flip it upside down, and add all the additional parts to it, and then flip it over and put it down onto the base and add the back last, making everything much easier to handle overall. Now, one of the first things you're going to notice once you flip over the bottom is that the construction is absolutely fantastic. I've used a lot of these gaming chairs in the past, and usually there's just a sheet of cloth cover particle board or something like that underneath the chair. And as you can see, there are steel structured struts that go completely across. The material is folded over and banded well using a high-grade steel band that wraps around the complete bottom of the chair. Now, this is a big plus considering the price of the chair being in that $479 price point. You expect it to be of a better quality such as this. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is unscrew the 4 screws from the bottom of the chair. That way you can attach the swivel base to the bottom of the seat. When attaching the swivel base, be mindful that you have it in the right orientation, as DXRacer did not put a front or back label on the unit. The way you see it in the video is the front of the unit. It should have a slant going down on the same side that the front of your seat is at. Now, once you install all 4 of the bolts back into the bottom, this is a good opportunity to put the plastic paddle covers onto the 2 lever arms that are sticking out of the swivel base. This is something that I found out later in the build would have been easier to do now instead of trying to do it once the chair was put together. Now, if you're watching this video and you have not purchased one of these chairs yet, the reason you did not see me put the arms on the base is because they come pre-installed out of the box. Now, once you have your wheels installed onto the base, you can easily flip the base down onto the ground and place the bottom seat directly onto the base. Now, once you've done that, you can move on to putting the back part of the chair down onto the bottom of the seat. Now, one of the things DXRacer did to make this part of the build much easier is on one side of the chair, they did put a guide on the back part of the seat. That way it slides directly down onto the frame. If you're working on this by yourself, it makes it a lot easier. Just remember to remove the 4 bolts, 2 on each side, before doing this step. Now, once you've screwed your 2 bolts in, you can take your magnetic cover and place over top of the frame, and then do the same exact thing to the other side. All right, and that is it, guys. You have now built your DXRacer chair. Now let's move on and see how much space we have sitting in the chair. All right, one of the first things with this chair that impressed me once I got it put together was that it was quite a bit larger than what I was expecting. Considering that they said that the weight limit recommendation for this chair was 250 pounds, which I am quite a bit bigger than, I expected this to be a much smaller chair. However, once I got it together, I found out that I'm able to sit in it comfortably, even though I am over the recommended weight limit. So that is a good thing to know for anyone who is larger than the recommended weight limit who is looking to get this chair. And just to give you an example of that, I'm able to easily sit down in this chair and have plenty of room between my sides and the arms. There's plenty of room in the seat. The swivel on this thing is absolutely great. The wheels feel good trying to move around. The headrest is in an absolute great area. Now here on the side, you're going to have your lumbar support dial. That way you can dial in a lumbar support for your back. You can have none at all, or you can have quite a bit. You just want to adjust it to where you feel comfortable. The second thing you're gonna have is your adjustment lever for the chair. This is just like in a vehicle. Once you pull it up, the chair goes back, you let it go, it locks in place. And if you wanna sit up, you pull it up again, and it pops right back up to you with no problem whatsoever. Now, on top of being able to tilt forwards and backwards, you also have adjustable armrests that you can adjust up or down at a couple of different heights, as well as pivot in and out. All right, guys, these are going to be my thoughts on the DXRacer Craft Series chair and overall conclusion of this video. All right, now after being able to use this chair for a couple of weeks, how do I feel overall about the chair? The first thing I have to say is that I was surprised in a positive way. I personally have refrained from buying a DXRacer chair for years, just because I always thought chairs like this were a waste of money, and I already had some pretty negative thoughts about the brand as a whole. Now, right off the bat, as I was opening the box, the build quality stuck out first and foremost. The stitching was great, the materials felt good, there was a nice weight to the chair, and nothing that I touched in any of the pieces felt cheap. That was where I was absolutely surprised, because until you get your hands on some of these pieces, you just don't understand how good the quality is compared to some of the other racing style gaming chairs that are out there. Now, the second thing that stood out to me was the ease of putting it together. They made this process as easily as humanly possible, as you could see from the installation guide part of this video. Everything was straightforward. The instructions were easy to read, and with a few minor tweaks to the instruction order, it was probably one of the easiest chairs that I've ever put together, short of getting one that was already completely built for me. Now, probably the biggest surprise out of all of them was how comfortable the chair was, considering that I'm a pretty large guy. From looking at their website, the recommended weight limit for this was 200 pounds, and the maximum was 250. Even as somebody quite a bit over the weight limit, I feel like this chair is still solid and isn't going to break down on me from everyday use. It's comfortable in the seat, it's comfortable in the lower back, and the chair as a whole feels like it wraps around me comfortably, which is something I wasn't expecting. Before I ever opened the box, I thought I wasn't going to be able to really speak on the comfort level of the chair because quite honestly, I thought I was going to be too big for the chair to be able to adequately do that part of the video, but I ended up being pleasantly surprised that I'm not. Now, I'm sure this is something that DXRacer does on purpose. They probably know people of all shapes and sizes are going to be purchasing these chairs, so they would rather over-deliver on some of the specs, which is never a bad thing from any type of company. It's always better to over-deliver than to under-deliver. Now, in terms of pricing of this chair, it does run around $479. Now, if you keep an eye out on their website, they do have sales on these units quite often, and I would recommend that you wait for a sale because at the $479 price point, there are lots of other things that you could look at out there that are within the same range or value of the DXRacer Craft Series chair. Overall, I am satisfied with this unit. It is something I would absolutely recommend to at least look into if you're looking at purchasing this style of chair for your gaming setup. Now, if you guys have any questions about this chair, please feel free to post down in the comments section below. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up as it helps the video and it helps the channel greatly. If you want to see more product reviews as well as camera and technology related videos, please hit the subscribe button and consider hitting the bell notification. That way you get alerts anytime I put out a new video. And with that being said, until next time.